Hello, and welcome to the webinar series, Demystify the Audit Process. This is the second webinar of this series, and it will take approximately 1 hour. It will be focused on understanding the amfori Audit Quality Program, and it targets current or potential members, business partners, and other stakeholders that might be interested in this topic. Participants are still joining, so I will go slowly and start by reviewing the webinar series and the planning for the webinar series. So this series is designed to help you understand the amfori audit process and how the amfori Audit Assurance Program aims to ensure transparency, quality, and integrity across all monitoring activities within the amfori framework. So each webinar will cover important topics from understanding the amfori audit process that happened already last March. And if you're interested, you can watch the webinar again in our YouTube channel. It will also cover the process to manage audit fatigue and ensure audit integrity. If you are an amfori member, you can register now to secure your place for the next webinar that will be members only, and that will help you identify and improve your responsibility towards the audits. So before we start, some quick housekeeping rules that will help managing the nice number of participants that have registered and joined already the webinar today. Pleased to see that we already have 103 participants live attending this webinar. So all of you will be muted. However, you can still communicate with us using the Q&A function to post your questions. Some of your questions will be answered live during this webinar. The other ones we can answer via the Q&A section. As mentioned before, the webinar will be recorded and the slides will be shared with the registrants after the webinar. Afterwards, you will be able to watch it again in our YouTube channel. Satisfaction survey, as usual, will be shared after the webinar, so we better understand if we are covering all the topics you want to see covered. So it's really a pleasure to host today's webinar. Today, we hope you'll gain insights into the amfori's audit quality assurance activities, understand how amfori works to enhance and uphold high audit standards, and you'll learn from a real experience sharing, illustrating how amfori's quality initiatives are applied in practice. So let us briefly go through the agenda. We will start by welcome and keynote speech by Ross Nova, APSCA CEO. And then we'll go through the amfori audit quality activities, and we'll share a real case study with you. Closely to the end of this webinar, there will be a live Q&A session where we'll be answering your questions, and we will end with conclusive remarks and the invitation for the next webinar. So keep in mind that towards the presentation, you can use the Q&A function to share your questions. Myself and my colleagues Bethany, Sevan, and Manoj will be more than happy to answer them. Before we start, let me briefly introduce our guest speakers and amfori team working in delivering this webinar today. So our guest speaker will be Mr. Ross Nova, CEO at APSCA, that will be sharing some insights on APSCA's perspective in audit quality. I'm Sonia, the amfori auditing manager, leading the Audit Assurance Programme, working on management systems with particular focus on social compliance for almost 25 years already. Really excited to be part of amfori and now to collaborate on strengthening social compliance auditing schemes. My colleague Sevan is the auditing expert at amfori that is in charge of the audit quality program, and Manoj, the auditing expert, that will be share the experience case with you today. Bethany, the auditing expert at amfori in charge of the integrity project, and Marie, our comms expert for social compliance, will be helping us behind the scenes to make sure that this webinar will be smoothly delivered to you and that we'll be able to answer all your questions. And now, some introductory words from APSCA CEO, Mr. Ross Nova.
Hi, Sonia, and thank you for that great introduction. Thank you for having me. What a wonderful webinar series you have. I've been watching it develop over time, and it's really intriguing, and you guys are doing really great work. So I'm honored to be here, and thank you for having me. Let me just give an introduction, a little bit as to what APSCA is, how we oversee the social compliance auditing industry, and how we work with our collaborative program partners, especially with amfori. The first slide is just my background. That's what I do. I've been in this field for quite some length of time. I'm a lawyer by background, but I've been in the responsible sourcing space for quite some length of time. I've run internal brand and retailer auditing programs at big public multinationals and at smaller private brands in the United States. In all of those roles, I was very early on involved with APSCA, involved with how do we make auditing better? How do we make it more credible? As a technical advisor on the legal side, so having joined APSCA as the president and CEO is sort of a culmination of a journey, and just really, really happy to be here and work with groups like amfori and with all of you on the call. The next slide talks about a little bit of context on where we are. I find it useful to remember that where we are today with CSDDD, Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, wasn't always the case. I remember back from the late 90s when our field started, it was a nice to have. It was kind of a new thing and no one really knew about it. And then over time, it got more and more prominence. More and more people wanted it because it was an effective way of measuring risk within your supply chain. And so if you fast forward today and you look forward to the near future, it's now going to be a legal requirement, which is why APSCA's role as a profession is so important. Legal requirements like being a lawyer or an accountant. Now in the near future, there's going to be a legal requirement to have a license in order to do social compliance auditing. And that's where APSCA is going to come in. So the pressure to do credible human rights auditing is increasing. And together with groups like amfori, we ensure credible, consistent, and competent auditing occurs. So the next slide, just if you don't know what APSCA is, I'll give you a very brief overview, and I won't run through the entire slide. We are a voluntary membership organization. So we have 75 member firms that are members of us. And these are firms that amfori selects, for example, in order to do some of their work. Other schemes use different firms. Other firms are independent, but there are 75 member firms. And those 75 member firms use almost 5,500 member auditors. So if you're someone on the call and you're interested in getting into our industry, learning how to audit, how to make auditing better, then I'll tell you at the end how to begin your APSCA journey through one of our member firms in order to join one of those 5,500. The last number I want to focus on is the one, not quite done, the one in the lower left. So under our umbrella, our 75 member firms conduct over 260,000 social compliance audits every year. So that's under our umbrella. So those are conducted by member auditors, by member firms. So that's a pretty big number that we oversee. And amfori's 40,000 audits are a very key part of that. So in addition to our member firms and our member auditors, we align with other stakeholders. And this is where amfori comes in. So if you take a look at the next slide, it outlines the other partners that, well, different slide. That's okay. I'll pivot. So before I go into who else we work with, how do we regulate what we do? So we create trusted, credible, and competent audits. We are a universal foundation for what social compliance auditing needs to be when you're in the factory, the qualifications for a firm, the qualifications to become and to continue to be an auditor. That's what we regulate. So we have professional standards. Professional standards happen in basically three ways. First, we do training and certifications to get on board. To become an APSCA member firm, we have this very intensive review process to make sure you have governance, training, ethics, controls, all that sort of stuff. Probably very similar to what amfori does when they decide firms that are going to use the BSCI standard. We also have training and certifications for member auditors. In order to become a member auditor, you need to have a degree after high school. You need, and then you can go ahead and start auditing, and that gives you an associate social compliance audit status, which means you can work on audits as an auditor. To become a lead auditor, in order to be in charge of those audits, to become a certified social compliance auditor, requires you to have 20 audit days experience, and then to pass the APSCA exam. Once you pass the APSCA exam, you then have 32 hours of continuing professional development every year, and we oversee that. So that's what we do. The next step is we govern sort of how things work. The way we operate looks a lot like if you're a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. The subject matter is different. The organization isn't. We have a competency framework. These are the things that a competent auditor needs to know and needs to do during an audit in order to meet that foundational competency. So that's the competency framework. We then have the code of conduct. That code of conduct applies to auditors and audit firms, and that's the ethics. It's integrity, it's honesty, it's reporting, all of the stuff that you would expect any profession to have to be ethical and competent and credible. Under the code of conduct, if there are some problems, we have an entire framework under a professional conduct team that manages this, and we have independent disciplinary bodies that hear cases and issue discipline if it comes to that. We don't like it to come to that. We try to work with our firms and our auditors to avoid that, but that's what we do as well. In addition, we have a governance and collaboration focus on the work that we do. We have the SAB that you see here stands for our Stakeholder Advisory Board. It's not just APSCA alone. We talk to brands and retailers. We talk to 12 other collaborative programs like amfori, and we have independent members. The idea is that APSCA represents firms and auditors first, but also the entire world of social compliance auditing. We also have a public affairs and advocacy arm, and then we also give out data on what we see are trends in the industry, what we see are trends among our auditors, among exam results, among the issues that the firms deal with. So with the next slide. So what's next for audit quality? What is it that we do to try to advocate for things getting better? So we're focusing on upskilling auditors and audit firms. And let me just give you an example of what we're doing. Our exam is changing to reflect new trends in the world. Migrant workers are a big focus for the brands and retailers that commission these audits. We want the exam to reflect those current events. We have a big focus. We're working with partners like the International Labor Organization, the OECD here in Paris, where I'm sitting right now, to talk about training on worker interview skills, right? To me, the worker interview is the heart of what we do. It's what differentiates us from other audits, and we want to make sure that that key aspect of competent auditing gets a special focus, and so we work with external partners to focus on those aspects of training. Greater collaboration. I mentioned the ILO, the OECD. We work with other organizations in the world that are talking about or trying to regulate social compliance auditing. So APSCA is a member of the IOE, the International Organization of Employers. We're a member of the U.S. Council for International Business and other organizations that advocate for social compliance auditing being a key part of corporate due diligence requirements. So those are just an example. Going to the next slide. When I talk about the ecosystem that's out there, we have an annual meeting coming up later this year. You don't need to be a member of APSCA in order to attend. If you're a stakeholder of social compliance auditing, please come and join us. So if you're a brand or retailer, please come. If you're a current auditor, please come. If you're thinking about joining the profession, you want to get some training, you want to join conversations about how we can make the profession even better, please come. It's open to all of you. The QR code is on the screen. That takes you to a little bit more information about the event, but we hope to see you there. Finally, let me start turning towards a little bit more about how we engage beyond the members. And this is where I want to focus on the collaborative partners and industry initiatives like amfori and BSCI. We have 13 collaborative programs that are partners with APSCA. They're not members, but we have a collaborative program working group where all of these scheme owners, along with APSCA, partner on those really difficult challenges in the industry. Finding more auditors, dealing with ethical issues, engaging with regulators and legislators that want to go on the space. All of us are working together to improve not only the industry, but social compliance auditing quality. So you won't see it, but behind the scenes, people like APSCA and amfori are working really hard to address those issues that can undermine the credibility of the profession. And an example is amfori's Audit Integrity Program. Bethany, I'm sure, is going to mention it here in a little bit. While APSCA partners with any of our firms in collaborative programs, the APSCA Integrity Project is a wonderful example of how we partner together to make everything in the industry more credible, more responsive. APSCA provides data, we provide expertise, but we're here to support amfori's program. Amfori is its own separate company, has its own standards, but because we have that global view of all of the standards and audits, we want to feed that information to support amfori's work. And while other collaborative programs are doing similar things, amfori's program really is notable in terms of its credibility, its patience, its organization, and it really is a wonderful opportunity that APSCA can partner with amfori on it. So if you're working with amfori as an auditor, as a firm, as a brand or retailer, understand that this work is not just amfori. They've really done a wonderful job of bringing in the broader auditing ecosystem to support and inform their work. Finally, I do want to just give a shout out to Linda Cromyong. She's the head of amfori, but she's also, in a way, partially my boss as well. She's not only the chair of our stakeholder advisory board, she's also on APSCA's board of directors. That is the level of interest and expertise and effort that Linda and amfori are putting in. She spends so much time making not only amfori's work better, but stepping out and making the entire auditing ecosystem better. That it really is something that I personally value, that APSCA values, and really does make the auditing industry better. And so our partnership between amfori and APSCA continues to develop, and it's something that I rely on to make the auditing industry better. And it's really been a wonderful experience for me. So with that, I will turn it over, I believe, to Sonia. Thank you, everybody.
So thank you so much for your kind words, Ross, and for explaining a little bit how the collaboration between APSCA and amfori really work. Before we go on to the Audit Assurance Programme, I will kindly ask Marie to put the poll live. We would like to know a bit more on the audience we have here today. We have very, very few questions for you. The first one is, why are you attending the webinar today? Just please vote. Hopefully we will see the results very soon. Is almost up. If you didn't vote yet, just do it. Okay, the results are coming. Okay, most of you are here to learn about the Audit Assurance Program and amfori audit process and to stay updated on audit quality and integrity issues. Good to know that we are all on the same page. Marie, can we go to the second one? And the second question is, how familiar are you with the Audit Assurance Program already? You can only select one answer and you have 30 seconds to do so. And the results are almost coming. Here we are. Okay, so most of you already know about what you're doing. A few still don't know quite well what amfori is doing towards audit quality and integrity. Hopefully, this webinar series will help you to better understand the process and how you can contribute to it, what's your role in it. And finally, the third question, a lighter one. Where are you from? I'm from Portugal. Amfori's team is all around the world. So for the ones here today, Sevan is from Turkey, Manoj from India, Marie is French, and Bethany, she's from UK. Let's see where you are. Knowing that most of our suppliers should be in Asia and most of our members in Europe, the participants in our webinar are, okay, mainly from Europe. Good to know that we are in the same time zone. And Asia, a few from, one participant from Africa. Hopefully it's not crazy hours for you. And there's one participant that is from China. Okay, Sophie, good to have you on board. So quickly going through the Audit Assurance Program, really glad to see you from all over the world here and interested in understanding what we are doing. So what is the Audit Assurance Program? It is the overarching framework for ensuring, at first, the technical adherence to our requirements. Secondly, ethical conduct amongst our stakeholders. The Audit Assurance Program ensures that our monitoring activities are reliable, credible, and transparent. And it is an essential tool to maintain the trust in the integrity of our operations and to protect the stakeholders' interests such as yourselves. So it is required for monitoring partners to conduct our BSCI audits, but since last year, we also are applying this program onto amfori BPI audits. So we have expanded the scope already in 2024. Following Ross's presentation, it's important to mention that the Audit Assurance Program, even if it is led by amfori, it is a collaborative program. And it's this collaborative approach that ensures its success and ensures the enhancement of the quality of the audit activities and the smoothness of the audit process. So our amfori members and suppliers are key to develop the program. We work in close relation with them to hear from them, to understand what are their challenges on the ground, what are their expectations. We work very close with APSCA in their working groups to tackle together with the other schemes also issues that are common to the industry, such as namely auditor capacity, integrity issues, capacity building, improving auditing skills such as interviewing. So we work together with our auditing companies, namely with or via organizing calibration meetings at least twice per year and day-to-day exchanges, workshops, question and answers to enhance the consistency of the work they deliver every day on the ground for you and for the supply chains in general. So we work together also in a constructive dialogue with the suppliers to better understand what are their challenges in following, again, more than the regulatory requirements, but the expectations towards the supply chains in what concerns social compliance. We work with an external audit assurance partner, KPMG, to ensure the integrity, the consistency, and also the credibility of our audit assurance program into on-the-ground delivering of some of our quality activities. And we also work together with the auditors themselves. We meet each other in person or remotely in regional calibration meetings. We have frequent Q&A sessions when needed. We share guidance for the topics they feel and they ask for our support. So it's indeed a collaborative approach, and it will not be possible to put this in place without all these actors' active participation. So in the next slide, you can have a more visual understanding of how we work, how the audit assurance program is structured. So we say that it's like an apple split in two halves. One is the audit quality program, and the other half of the apple will be the audit assurance program. You probably have already seen this infographic if you are looking into our previous articles or presentations or into our webinar. So we try to keep you updated on how it works. So the audit quality program is splitted in three pillars, I would say. The first one is the audit qualification process. So on top of APSCA minimum requirements to become an auditor, to become a lead auditor, and to keep their proficiency, there are also specific qualification requirements to become an amfori BSCI auditor and an amfori BSCI lead auditor. There are some on-the-ground and off-site quality audit control activities that Sevan and Manoj will go through in today's presentation, and also investigations on quality gaps or behavioral gaps that we might see after or we might detect during our audit quality control activities. On the side of the integrity project, we focus on business partner integrity, auditor and monitoring partner integrity, uncontrolled third parties and in a close collaboration with APSCA, because some of the topics we can't tackle together. We need the support of other schemes and particularly of APSCA to ensure that we all move towards the same direction. So just to make sure that we are all speaking the same language, let's remind you that when we mention audit quality, we refer to the extent to which an audit is conducted with amfori's professional standards. And our audit quality program aims to ensure a comprehensive monitoring of our monitoring partners and auditors' performance. So to measure how well an audit is done in relation to our standards, and then we check if the auditors are doing their job correctly. So we have a very strict acceptance criteria for both for our monitoring partners and for our auditors that we check via the on-site and off-site activities and in-depth quality investigations. So when we speak about audit integrity, we are focusing on behavioral issues, on other risks that can undermine the reliability and the credibility of audit findings. So handing over now to Sevan to deep dive on our Audit Assurance Program.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Rose and Sonia, for the great introduction and the presentations. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Maybe I can also start with a short introduction of myself. My name is Sevan Çimen. I'm working as an auditing expert at Amfori and as a former Amfori BSCI and social compliance auditor. Over 10 years of experience, my main responsibility is to monitor the quality of Amfori operations in the field. And in addition to this, I also provide technical support to our main stakeholders, to our members and auditing companies on Amfori BSCI audits. In our first session of this webinar series, we provided an overview of the Amfori BSCI and the BEPI auditing methodologies. And in this second session, we are going to talk about how we standardize consistency and practices, particularly between the auditing companies that perform audits on behalf of our members and us. So we will go into the details of our audit quality program with this session, but also another webinar will take place end of this year to share about our integrity project outcomes and learnings. So let's dive into our audit quality program with this slide. So this program has been in place since 2016 and extends from auditor qualification in the Amfori ecosystem and to audit quality and pre-post audit management as well. At the forefront of our quality program is the qualification of our Amfori auditors. If you move to the next slide, the main objective of our auditor qualification process is to verify the experience and knowledge of an auditor candidate against a strict list of acceptance criteria. Our qualification process also helps to ensure auditors get trained and familiar on how to conduct an Amfori BSCI or BEPI audit. Firstly, as you can see on the left side of the screen, there are some prerequisites related to academic and professional life of our auditors. All candidates should be APSCA registered auditors, and all candidate auditors should also work with APSCA member auditing companies. And they also should fulfill the requirements for a certain number of audits. Candidates who fulfill these requirements must then attend to detailed trainings provided by Amfori. And during these training sessions, Amfori requirements as well as auditing techniques are explained in detail to our candidate auditors. And after the trainings, candidates are subjected to an assessment, and successful candidates are entitled to receive the Amfori BSCI or BEPI auditor qualification certificate. And end of this process, they also should participate for observations. They need to learn from the experienced auditors how to measure the amfori requirements in the factories. And once they also fulfill the observation numbers, our auditors, our certified auditors, are good to lead amfori BSCI audits and BPI audits in the field. Of course, the validity of these initial certifications should, of course, be followed up with additional refresher trainings. And these trainings should be carried out periodically. And end of these trainings, again, there are some small assessments. And if they also achieve after this process, they can keep their certificate up to date. And in the next slides, we can continue with the details of our quality activities. Firstly, I would like to talk about the practices that are offsite and that we do on a regular basis. The first input of our offsite process is the report quality reviews. We have a dynamic report quality review process based on continuous data analysis and feedback we receive from our members or different stakeholders. And in this process, quality review is carried out on a regular basis for audits conducted and completed through the amfori sustainability platform. As amfori, we review and evaluate the submitted audit reports based on the guidance documents, amfori code of conduct, amfori system manual requirements shared with our auditing companies and auditors. And the data related to these controls are continuously analyzed and fit the quality activities carried out on site, which I will talk about in the following slides. Offsite system reviews and platform reviews is the second input of our offsite processes. As you know, all amfori audit solutions are carried out through the amfori sustainability platform. And in order to carry out these activities, these audit activities accurately and completely, the information and data on our sustainability platform must always reflect the current and real situation of our stakeholders. For this reason, our amfori sustainability platform is also regularly checked, and it's aimed to keep the information about our stakeholders up to date at all times. These two related processes can, of course, also be triggered by notifications or grievance reports from our external stakeholders. The notifications or grievances we receive from our stakeholders, such as members, factories, business partners, auditing companies, or different institutions or organizations that play an active role in the social compliance industry, can also initiate the report and platform review processes. The first step in such notifications is always to conduct analysis on the amfori sustainability platform. And if we can reach the right answer as a result of these reviews, as a result of our report reviews, our amfori sustainability platform reviews, the subsequent processes are shaped accordingly. We provide the satisfactory answer for the external stakeholder. And if there is nothing serious with the event, with the case, we close that case. But if, as a result of platform reviews, accurate or satisfactory information cannot be reached, official and in-depth investigations are initiated on case-by-case basis, and the satisfactory answer is sought in this way. And if, as a result of these in-depth and formal investigations, concrete results are obtained regarding the quality or the integrity violations, the necessary actions and sanctions are applied by amfori. End of my presentation, I will give a bit more details about the follow-up actions and the potential outcomes of these activities. And lastly, with this slide, I would like to share some figures about our official investigations. In 2024, based on the several off-site and on-site activities, in total, 21 in-depth investigations initiated and completed all over the world. And 3 of them collaboratively performed with our close stakeholders, such as APSCA. And 3 of these investigations are escalated to different sanction levels. If we move to the next slides, we can dive into the on-site processes that we perform regularly. Here you can see 5 types of on-site activities. The first two quality activities that are very similar and involve the offices of our auditing companies. As amfori, we work with 13 different auditing companies, and as I mentioned, the consistency between these auditing companies is one of the main goals of our audit quality program. And we do perform office audits in the scheme management offices and in the local offices of our auditing companies every year. The 13 auditing companies are qualified by us. And during the first qualification of our auditing companies, there are also very strict rules. They should also provide some policies, procedures related to their quality and integrity practices. And based on this initial assessment, we decide to move. We decide to move forward with the auditing company or not. The relevant auditing company names are announced on our websites. So if you are interested, please visit our website and you can see the relevant auditing company names in the relevant area. Through the office audits we organize, we want to see how they have adjusted to amfori requirements and how they manage their amfori operations. And in this process, the auditing companies present their policies, procedures, and practices related to amfori requirements and operations. Especially on off-site audits and witness audits, which I will explain in a bit, we work with our audit assurance partner, which is KPMG. Since the beginning of this audit quality program, KPMG is supporting us on this, especially on the on-site activities. Basically, on behalf of amfori, they visit the relevant offices, and based on our requirements, KPMG field officers perform the quality activities. But also, especially as of last year, we also started to participate to these activities. We jointly performed some of the quality activities with our assurance partner, and we also, as amforians, we also started to perform some quality activities. And the witness audits, it's an observation of an actual amfori BSCI audit. Again, as of 2016, we do perform these activities in a more regular way. Basically, we participate to an planned actual amfori BSCI audit, and we basically observe the auditing skills of the auditor, the behavior towards the factory management, all of the relevant spectrums of the auditing is is measured in this process. In addition to office activities and the witness audits, our quality program also includes spot check audits and joint visits with our members. In spot check audits, we made unannounced visits to organizations that to factories that have recently undergone amfori BSCI audits. The main purpose of these visits is to see whether the actual conditions of the factories are in line with the audit reports uploaded to amfori sustainability platform. And in the following slides, my colleague Manoj will share more information and experience with the spot check audits. Therefore, I will not go into too much detail. And in addition to spot check audits, we continue to perform joint visits with the CSR teams of our members and to evaluate the working conditions of the workers and the factories. In 2024, we have performed 5 joint visits with our members in China. In the following slides, you can see the development of our on-site activities since 2023. Since 2023, there has been an increase in the number of activities carried out. We always try to increase the numbers of our on-site activities, and we want to continue this increase in 2025 as well. And we aim to increase the number of all of these activities by 25% by actively participating in and performing field activities. As I mentioned in the previous slides, a big portion of our on-site activities are done by our assurance partner, but especially as of last year, as amfori staff, we also go on site. We also perform office audits, spot check audits, witness audits. And with this way, with this actively participation of to the on-site activities, we also have the opportunity to listen our stakeholders' challenges. We also do some interviews with our auditors. We also do some interviews with the factory representatives. We also meet with our members. And we listen them. We try to find solutions afterwards. And in the following slides, I think that's my last slides. I would like to talk about the actions taken after all of these activities. I mentioned that one of the main objectives of our quality program is to ensure consistency between our auditors and the audit companies. For this reason, the deficiencies or the gray areas that we identify as a result of our quality activities are discussed and shared with our auditing companies and our auditors through calibration meetings that we regularly hold throughout the year. In addition, we also organize regular network connect meetings with our members to collect feedback, share our experience, and find solutions to their challenges, as I mentioned. And of course, the result of quality activities are used in data analysis, as in every stage. Based on these data analysis and feedback from our stakeholders, regular root cause analysis and corrective and preventive measures are taken by our sites. In order to announce the determined preventive and corrective actions to our stakeholders, in addition to the regular meetings with our auditors, auditing companies, and the members, necessary guidance documents, training materials, and trainings are prepared by working with our capacity building team. And all of all of the shared and relevant guidances are available on our website as well. And all of the dedicated training sessions also available on our Amfori Academy. Also, last but not least, we of course expect similar actions to be taken by our stakeholders, especially by our auditing companies. In the event that corrective actions are not carried out efficiently, and the resulting negative statements, negative results, have a potential or direct impact on Amfori operations, certain sanctions may also be imposed. As you can see, we have 3 types of sanctions. Depending on the degree of the detected deficiency and the impact on Amfori and its members, a warning letter, a suspension, or termination may be imposed to our auditing companies or directly to the individual auditors. Warning letter is an official warning from the Amfori headquarters to the relevant party. And based on the warning letter, the relevant party, this could be an auditing company or an individual auditor, as I mentioned, the relevant stakeholder should prepare a comprehensive root cause analysis and preventive and corrective action plans. And if they can provide a satisfactory outcome with their study, then we may close the case with only a warning letter. But if there's a failure on that process as well, then the warning letter can be escalated to suspension of the relevant party or the termination of the relevant party. And yes, this is our quality program and follow-up actions in a nutshell. Sonia, back to you. If you wish, we can give the floor to Manoj. Thank you.
Thank you, Sevan, for your thorough and very quick presentation. Time-wise, perfect. So this is theoretically how we do it. And now we would like Manoj to share his experience on performing spot check audits on site in the last year. So Manoj, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Rose and Sivan, for your presentation as well. So before presenting or starting my session, I would like to start with a short introduction about myself. And I'm Manoj, auditing expert in Amfori. I'm based in Amfori, India office. So I do have a 20 years of social compliance experience and spanning both manufacturing and auditing experience. I do also conducted more than 600 audits, social compliance audits for various social schemes. And this is what about the short background of myself. And getting back to the session. And in this session, as Sonia and Sivan mentioned, I will be sharing my practical experience and insights of spot check audits. So as Sivan mentioned, in our audit, under our audit quality program, there are various on-site processes. For example, witness audit, local office audit, scheme management office, joint visits. So among those activities, spot check audits are the only activity which is fully delivered by the Amfori team. So now I'm going to explain you in detail about the overview of the spot check audit, practice and process and insight of the spot check audits. And this activity, spot check audit, is developed for on-site validation of the Amfori audits delivered by our approved auditing companies, which serves as a tool to verify the audit quality through the on-site validation as a part of our audit quality program. This activity or the spot checks are conducted in accordance with our Amfori spot check methodology to assess the performance of our auditing partners. And also, this spot check is completely distinct from any other quality activities, for example, witness audits, and do not replace other audit quality assurance activities which is already in place. And also this spot check audits are completely risk focused, addressing both audit quality and integrity related concerns. As Ivan mentioned, the spot check audits are on routine quality assurance activity under our audit quality program, but it also can be used to investigate specific compliance if there is a need. The producers or the sites selected for the spot checks are purely based on amfori's internal risk assessment. Under our amfori spot check methodology, we have a detailed risk matrix for the selection process. So based on the risk matrix, the producers will be selected for the spot check audit. Next slide. Now I will explain you about the practice, how the spot check audits are conducted. So these spot check audits will have a similar approach of our normal amfori based audits or amfori audits, but with a risk focused strategy. So what is mean by risk focused strategy? That's the amfori team will do a proper due diligence before the spot check audit on the producer and the previous audit and any other factors. And based on the due diligence, the team will identify the performance areas associated with the risks. So during the spot checks, those performance areas will be given more focused on the site. For example, if the team identifies there are high chances of child labor or for excessive working hours, then during the spot checks, the performance areas related to child labor and the working hours will be given more focus. This is what called risk focused strategy. Mostly the spot check audits will be scheduled within 1 month of the previous amfori audits for better results and better comparison. But this 1 month time window is not limited. It may also occur at any time during the audit validity period. So it is purely determined by the amfori based on our risk assessment. So how do we do this activity, conduct this activity? This is delivered by, previous slide, please. This is completely delivered by fully unannounced mode with full site visit, document verification, and interviews with management and workers like an other audit, like a normal audit. And who delivers? As I already mentioned, it is delivered by amfori team completely. And one important point to note here is this: the spot checks audit results will not influence the rating or results of previous amfori audit. For example, in the previous amfori audit, the producer may got any score, it may be A, B, C, D, or whatever it is. That score will be remain unchanged irrespective of the spot check findings. The spot check findings will be remediated to a different channel. Next slide. Yes. Now I will explain you about the process of spot check audit. So how do we execute the spot check audits? There are 5-step process is followed on the execution. Step 1 is the identification. So the producer will be identified on the step 1 that the producer should have a valid audit in our amfori sustainability platform. Based on this and through our amfori selection process, the producer will be selected for the spot checks. Once the selection is done, step 2 is analyze. So the amfori team will review the audit report and conduct an internal risk assessment. Here, this risk assessment is to identify the performance areas associated with the risk. So once this analysis is done, then step 3 will be planning. So in this stage, we will do a detailed planning of the spot check audit. So what we will do, we will identify the spot check team and we will figure out the audit efforts, that is number of days to be delivered. And finally, the performance areas which more focused during an audit. So aspects, a detailed audit plan will be created. So the step 4 will be the on-site audit. So once the plan is created, the team is going to execute the on-site audit. So in this stage, once the team reaches to the site for the spot check audit, so first what we will do is we will introduce ourselves to the respective person, the management representatives, and we are from amfori and we are here to do the spot check audits, and we will explain them about the purpose of this activity, the spot checks audit, for what we are here, and we will hand over them as a letter of support from amfori. So that makes sure that we are from amfori. So once this process is done and we explain the purpose and we introduce to them, then the team will immediately proceed with the site visit. So this site visit can be a detailed health and safety tour or can be a quick site visit to assess the condition of site, how it was. It can be determined based on the on-site dynamics by the team lead. So once the site visit is completed, then the team get back to the work area in the site and they will start proceeding with the audit as per the plan. For example, opening meeting, then document verification, interviewing with management, workers, and they will continue the activity. Once this activity is completed, the outcome of spot checks will be shared with the relevant stakeholders, that is with our link members and the auditing companies. Step 5 will be the follow-up. The follow-up of findings with the auditing companies and respective auditing companies and the link members for the continuous improvement. Next slide, please. Yes. So post follow-up actions. So after the spot check audits, what we will do? So the follow-up actions and the consequence are determined based on the audit results. The findings of spot checks will be categorized into two parts. One is high-risk finding and other one is findings related to audit company's service delivery. So what is high-risk findings? It is similar to a zero tolerance protocol of our amfori, but I will explain you what it is very quickly. It's, for example, it may be a child labor, it may be a bonded labor, it can be an inhuman treatment, it can be imminent life threat under health and safety or unethical behavior. So all these things will be categorized as high-risk findings, which will be communicated or shared to our link members. Through our link members, it will be shared to the respective producers, and then remediation will be initiated. On the other hand, findings related to audit company's service delivery. So for example, it can be a finding related to audit planning, scheduling, execution, or auditor's competency or auditor's integrity. So these findings will be shared with our respective auditing companies and the remediation will be initiated. So next slide, please. So let us have a look back at the results of 2023 and 2024. So we were doing this activity from 2023 and we did for this past 2 years. And what are the key observations? So top 5 key observations are: the first one is influence of consultants in the audit were identified. For example, what we find is consultants have a major role in the audit. For example, in planning of audit, supporting in the audit. Apart from this, implementation of the system, demonstrating in the audit, and their presence were everywhere in the process, and that's what we identified. And second thing is auditors' integrity issue were flagged, and we found some auditor integrity issue. Third was excessive overtime. Fourth one was double bookkeeping. And fifth one was unreported workforce. So unreported workforce in the sense the entire workforce is not properly disclosed. For example, contract workers, temporary workers, and their count is not added in the audit data. And to hide this excessive overtime and the unreported workforce, the double bookkeeping practice has been in place. So for example, double bookkeeping in the sense like one set of record for maintaining the actual records, and the other set is maintained for the audit purpose. And this is what the 5 key observations which we found in the spot check audits. So Coming to the key actions and follow-up of the spot check audits, what we did out of the spot check audits and its outcome. Is the first thing is the spot check audits in India continued with local office audits, resulted in country-level sanctions of some auditing companies. Second, there are some global sanctions for auditor qualification and actions taken for the auditor integrity issue. Finally, the high-risk findings are being escalated to the linked members. So, before concluding this, I would like to share you the benefit of spot check audits for the different stakeholders. So, for example, how does the spot check audits benefit our members? So, this spot check audits benefit our members in terms of it will be helpful to validate the credibility of the data collected during an audit, including audit findings and the quality of audit reports in terms of members. In terms of auditing companies, it will provide a valuable input to improve the overall audit service delivery of the auditing company. For example, in terms of planning, scheduling, and also in developing the competency of auditors. And finally, to the producers, it will be helpful to evaluate the effectiveness of the implemented system and understanding how well it is incorporated into their routine activities. So this is what a summary of the spot check audits and my experience. And it's the end of my slide. And thank you. Over to Sonia. Happy to have the questions.
Thank you so much, Manoj, for your very clear presentation. It's time for the questions now. I will hand over to Bethany so she can ask the questions that we did not respond yet. She can ask them live, but I would like to start with one that we already replied in written, but I think it's an important one to ask Ross. Again, he already mentioned this in the beginning, but since the question came, I think it's better to go through it again. So Ross, could you please explain again what is the process to become an APSCA auditor and what are the minimum qualification requirements? So if we are talking about academic requirements, the question is repeated. So if you could.
Sure, and thank you for that question. So let me talk about the qualifications, and then I'll talk about the process. In order to be an associate social compliance auditor, you need the educational background of having a university degree or any post-secondary high school exam. And then at that point, with training from a member firm, you're able to become an associate social compliance auditor, which means you can go to factories, you can do the work, but you cannot lead the audit. To lead the audit, then you need to show that you have 20 audit days experience. You will submit an audit log showing the audits that you've attended. It is not 20 audits, it's 20 audit days. With that, then you become eligible to sit for the APSCA exam. The APSCA exam is a 3-part exam. Part 1 is written, and it deals with sort of the theory of social compliance auditing. Part 2 is also written, but that puts you inside the factory. It'll ask a question to say, what is the standard process to do a social compliance audit? Worker, opening, meeting, tour, interviews, documentation. Part 3 is a mock worker interview. It is a 2-hour process where you sit down like you and I are doing now with an experienced auditor, and you pretend like you're interviewing a worker. After that, if you pass the exam, then you can become a social compliance auditor. To start the process of that journey, we ask that you work through one of APSCA's member firms. Again, we have 75 member firms. In effect, that firm sponsors you. They work with you and they certify to APSCA that, yes, this person is trained, their experience. We vouch for their ability to do the work. And so what I would do is take a look at APSCA's website. You can see the list of all the member firms, and you can affiliate yourself or employ yourself with those firms and then apply for the exam. You do not need to be employed by a firm in order to become a CSCA. If you are a freelance auditor, you do have to affiliate, you do have to partner with a firm. They will then forward your application. You do not need to be employed by them.
Thank you so much, Rose. Now to Bethany.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question I was going to ask my colleague Manoush to answer was there was a lot of questions around how I already answered a couple, but I think it would be good to hear from you, how we decide on where we do the spot check, how the members can be involved, and where the cost sits if a member is involved.
Yes, Bethany.
Yeah.
So yes, so as already I mentioned about the selection process, so the factories or the producers selected for the spot checks are purely based on the amfori's internal risk matrix, which is developed under our amfori spot check methodology. This risk matrix has various components, for example, number of audits and the auditing companies, region, all kind of risks. So all together, based on this risk matrix, we will select the producers or factories for the spot check audits. Coming to the members role, yes, the members can share an input. For example, they want a producer to be involved in spot check audits, and they can let us know about the company or about the producers and the risk associated with them. We will include them in our risk analysis, and once it fits with our risk criteria, and if the producer qualifies, and then we will proceed with the spot checks. And regarding the cost, and as of now, all the spot checks are completely delivered by the amfori team, and the cost is from the amfori's budget. But if member wants to involve, and that should be it should be discussed later, and we can take it ahead.
Thanks, Manoush. And then the other question, which I did answer, but maybe people wanted more information on, was a little bit to understand more about the sanction process, which I'll ask to Sivan. So they were talking about the number of warning letters, and if we can be more transparent with this information and when it's shared. And I wondered if you could just shine a little bit of light on this topic some more.
Sure, Bethany. My cam is on. As I mentioned during my presentation, we have three types of sanctions. The first one is the warning letter, second one is the suspension, and the third one is the termination of the auditing company. Last year, based on the off-site activities, the in-depth investigations and on-site activities, there were 3 warning letters towards to our auditing companies. And besides these 3 warning letters, also within the last 2 years, 2 auditing companies are suspended in India, 1 in Romania, and 1 in Pakistan. So this is our current numbers for the last 2 years. And in the following periods, we would like to share all of the relevant information with our members. We would like to be more transparent in the future, and to do that, the data infrastructure is already prepared on our site, and based on that, we will move forward.
Thank you, Sivan. That's great. And then I will ask Manoush another question because I can see a couple just came in. So they had some questions around, will they be able to see if a spot check audit was conducted on one of the business partners on the amfori platform? And I'm going to ask a follow-up question of, do we have any plans to change this or make it more clear?
So as of now, the spot checks audits and its findings will not be visible in our amfori platform, sustainability platform. As I said, it is followed in a different channel, but maybe in a longer run, we will look into it. We can take this as an input and we can consider, but as of now, it will not be available in our amfori platform. So members can reach us and so we can let them know to the certain extent what we can share.
Thank you, Manoj. And then I see a fun question for Ross here. I hope you haven't answered it already live, but would it make sense to create a degree for becoming an auditor or even a social auditor?
So it is interesting. We've had a number of conversations with universities and educational institutions around the world, exploring that topic. If not creating a specific degree, we've had conversations about creating a curriculum, a list of courses that you can take that would give you the skills that would give you a really good chance of passing the APSCA exam and maybe even accelerating and skipping some of the processes to get there. So early stages on that topic, but that's a really good question.
Thank you, Ross. And then I wasn't sure if Sonia had any other questions she wanted to address live during this call.
Just one follow-up question to Ross, also linked with the sanctions. Sevan already answered from amfori side, but from a APSCA side, can you share some statistics about sanctions regarding auditing companies or the amount of warnings per year?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So in 2024, we had 64 or 65 specific issues with our member firms that led to some form of discipline. That discipline ranges from what we call a letter of expectation all the way up to firms having to suspend their work in certain regions in the world, pending a deeper dive of their operations in those areas. So the range of options is pretty broad, but we had 65 distinct issues in 2024 with our member firms.
Thank you so much, Ross. So I just wanted to add something on top of the previous response from Manoj on business partners, because I see some questions coming up on the impact of the spot checks on business partners. So just to make it clear, the spot check audits are part of our quality program. So the main goal when we go on site is to verify the audit consistency. So to review and to analyze and to assess the quality of the audit process since the planning until report review. However, it's a fact that sometimes we face situations where there were integrity issues from the business partner side that impacted the audit results. And in this sense, they can also have effect on the business partner. But when we start with the goal of assessing the auditing company and the auditor performance. So just to make it clear. And my last question, because we are almost in reaching our available time for this, is to Sevan. Can you go a bit deeper into explaining announcement types of our quality activities? So which ones are announced, which ones are unannounced, which ones can be a mix of those depending on the situations we find on the ground?
Sure, Sonia. Thanks for the question. So the office activities that we perform on our auditing companies' offices are is fully announced. So we organize or we detect the target locations, and that at the end of each year, and based on based on that planning, our assurance partner and us perform the activities. We perform the offsite activities. These are fully announced. And for the witness audits, again, end of each year, we also prepare the agenda for the next year for witness audit activities. And these planned activities are also announced to the auditing company and the auditor. But besides the planned ones, besides planned office audit activities and the witness audit activities, based on the data analysis that we do the whole year, the risk indicators, the external grievances and the notifications that we receive from our external stakeholders, sometimes we may do some additional quality activities. And in that kind of additions, we usually move forward with an unannounced visit, unannounced witness audit activity, or unannounced visit to the factory. Hope I answered your question, Sonia.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Sevan. So the last question, I think I can answer it. There was a question in the Q&A asking about if we would be available to go on site with the members for joint visits to the suppliers, and our answer is yes, for sure. We are already doing it with some members, few, but with some members, and we would be more than welcome to join you in visiting your suppliers and also do visits together with you to help to better understand what are their issues on the ground, to help build capacity, to understand where capacity building is needed and what type of capacity building is needed, and also to help demystify the audit process, to make sure that they also take the ownership and the responsibility towards transparency into the audit process, because it's very easy to point our fingers to the or to mention that the audit results are not always accurate and concrete, but we need to keep in mind that the auditors on site can only work with the information that is provided by the business partners during the audits. So they do have to rely on business partner and supplier integrity, transparency, and collaboration during the audit process. Keep in mind that collaboration is the key word here when we talk about audit quality and integrity. So any further question, Bethany, from the Q&A?
Yes, the final one, which maybe you can shine some light on, is there's a few people asking about the living wage. I've mentioned that we have our calibration meetings to make sure there's consistency and how we calculate that. There's a lot of questions, and if we're going to improve how we calculate this.
Okay, for living wage and for some other topics that are part of the social compliance audit, there is no black and white solution, and there can be some deviations depending on the methodology that is used, the person that is doing it, the location, the moment of the year. So living wage is really a key topic. It's very difficult to calculate. It's time consuming to calculate. So amfori is working with external stakeholders to try to find a quicker, smoother, and more accurate and consistent approach towards that. But on top of it, we are working closely with our auditing companies and with the auditors to improve the accuracy of the process. But we need to keep in mind that living wage is very different from city to city, and even sometimes in the same city from month to month. So it's a topic where we need to assume that there will not be 100% accuracy in the audit result, or might not be 100% accuracy in the audit result. And this leads me to another consideration that I was trying to keep for the conclusion remarks, but it's really important to say we can't expect 100% accuracy in an audit. An audit is a timely or time-limited activity that is only a snapshot of what the auditor can see and the supplier can evidence on the audit day. So, and considering this, considering the variables and considering the time limitations, we need to acknowledge that there will always be some risks that will be very difficult to find in a regular social compliance auditor as it is designed, as they are designed right now. This is one of the reasons why amfori is consistently working in improving their auditing, our auditing methodology. And this is also one of the reasons why the social, we are working strongly on the social risk assessment tools to help our members decide where, how, and when to complete audits. So I hope I could cover your question, Beth.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. And then I was just gonna quickly answer the questions around Speak for Change. There's a lot of specific ones with more details. So what I would advise this person, because I don't think we have time today to go into the entire program, is to have a look at our website. I'm going to attach a link because it provides a lot of resources and a better introduction so you can have a better, more comprehensive understanding. And then if you have any additional questions after that, to message info@, and we can get back to you.
Thanks, Beth. Also, going to the Q&A section again. There have been a lot of questions towards integrity and also our integrity project. Keep in mind that in December there will be a dedicated webinar on this topic. So keep in touch, and you can join for more information on what we are doing on these topics. So it's time to close, so I will briefly go to the conclusion. And one thing I always say, and I would like to reiterate in this webinar, is that audits are a mean and not an end. Audit quality is a process. We can never stop working on improving audit quality. Because again, as Ross said, and picking up his words, we cannot focus anymore on minimum legal requirements. It's to focus on continuous improvement. And this said, it's a never-ending story. It's a totally ongoing, permanent work. So if we want to support any company, or if any company is really focused and engaged in their due diligence road, they need to rely on the audit results. Those need to be credible and accurate, or at least as much as possible credible and accurate. And in this sense, reliability, credibility, and accuracy of the audit process is every stakeholder responsibility. Every single one of us, auditors, brands, suppliers, auditing companies, APSCA, general stakeholders, we need to actively contribute into this global objective. So amfori takes quality and integrity of amfori BSCI and BPI systems very seriously. And this is the reason why we do keep our focus on enhancing our already well-established quality program, and the reason for launching the integrity program to maintain and raise the quality standards for the auditing companies to conduct amfori audits. And this is also the reason we are engaging with our members, with our monitoring partners, with our business partners, with our auditors, and with APSCA to move towards the increased quality and integrity of our systems. We do acknowledge that there are credibility and quality issues within the industry. They are not amfori specific, and we do try to address those head-on and in partnership with our key stakeholders such as APSCA and the auditing companies we work with. So keep in mind, problems are the industry problems, and we need to work together to tackle those. So if you want to help us in this journey of improving quality and integrity of our audits, please know your responsibilities towards the audit process and your role in keeping quality and consistency of it. And then we will have more reliable, accurate, and relevant audit results for all parties. And ultimately, we will be able to positively impact audit fatigue topic as the continuous improvement actions will be more effective. So we have spoken already about the limitation of audits, and it's again that it's everybody's goal to move towards this issue. So at amfori, we are highly committed in supporting our members in their due diligence journey and their supply chains to improve their social compliance performance. And for this reason, as you probably noticed, we are strengthening our monitoring team in number and in field expertise to be able to increase the number of quality activities, and together with our assurance partner, monitoring partners, responsible members, and engaged business partners and external stakeholders, such as APSCA, that we really do thank you for being present here today, enhance our audit processes and methodologies. And we are also working on increasing our presence on the ground to better understand the challenges of all our stakeholders. So Marie is telling me that the time is almost over. So to finish this webinar, today's webinar, that I do thank you for attending. Very, very nice participation. I remind you again that this is a webinar series. The next one will be members only, and it's planned for July already. If you use the QR code in this slide, you can already register and reserve your seat. Also in October, there will be another webinar open to the public, aiming to discuss the audit fatigue topic, and in December, a deep dive on our audit integrity activities. So just a reminder, the key takeaways of this webinar will be shared in our website. The recordings will be shared during the week with the registrants and soon in our YouTube channel. All the Q&A questions that we could not reply live or in written will be shared with the members afterwards. For any question, feel free to reach me via my email address. And thank you so much for attending. See you at the next webinar.